Welcome back, Fragrance Fiend here today with one of my most anticipated first impressions yet. Not necessarily for you, the viewer, but for me, this is a fragrance I've been wanting to smell for 4 years now. However, the brand Kilian's never been available in my state before until a few weeks ago. This has been one of the most highly acclaimed gourmand amber scents on the market, which people have just been going crazy for. So I finally went into the one store in my entire state that actually sells it, and I managed to get a sample. I'm not going to bother reading the description, everybody knows this one already, so let's just get into it. So I have to call Kilian out for this again. In the note breakdown, you simply have cognac, tonka, and oak wood. Or do. Until you read the little paragraph above that, you'll discover the full note breakdown. But if you're going to have the note breakdown written there, why not just put all the notes there? You're just putting various bits of information everywhere. Just give me the notes in the note breakdown. So the notes are cognac, tonka, and oak wood, with additional notes of cinnamon, sandalwood, praline, and vanilla. I'm expecting myself to be intoxicated by it, for it to be incredibly complex, or potentially really simple and mass appealing, or making me instantly want to buy it, which is, I guess, how a lot of the consumers have kind of rated it. But I've also seen reviews where a lot of people say it's overrated as well, it's been overhyped, people talk about it way too much more than it deserves. So let's just see what someone like me, who's smelled about 1,500 perfumes in my life, really thinks of Kilian's Angel's Share. Here we go. I get the appeal, but I was kind of expecting a lot more. Okay, yeah, I like it. It's nice. I was expecting, I don't know what I was expecting. So the last time I probably looked into Angel's Share was at least about 2 years ago. I did do a very quick skim of the reviews to see if there are any like reformulations or anything I should be up to date with. But from what I saw, it's pretty consistent. The word which popped up a lot was apple pie, and I'm totally getting that in the opening. I can agree with that. Surprisingly, I was actually expecting a lot more cognac in this. There's definitely quite a bit of cinnamon and vanilla present, giving it that nice bit of smoothness. It's boozy, probably not as boozy as, say, Side Effect by Initio, which I've done before. In all honesty, I'm actually quite liking this, but it's just not wowing me as much as what I expected. I think my anticipation and hopes were so high that this was going to be groundbreakingly incredible, like I've heard. But I totally get why this would be someone's first niche or first luxury fragrance. It's a really good stepping stone into a broader category of scents. Personally, I prefer Nishane's Fan Your Flames, Roaring Radcliffe by Penhaligon's, or even my trusty OR18 by Another, which I highly recommend you check out my review on that. It's good, it's definitely in that league, but it just lacks complexity, I guess. Not that I always look for complexity in a fragrance, but so far it's sitting a little bit linear. From what I recall reading, a lot of people said that it was sweetness overload, which I'm not getting. I'm actually usually quite sensitive to heavily sweet perfumes, but this one's a little milder than what I was expecting, which is probably why I'm actually liking it more than I thought. The praline note is quite minimal. The sandalwood is definitely getting a little more present as it's beginning to dry down. That tonka is a bit of a cleaner tonka than I imagined. A lot of tonkas like Tonka 25 by Le Labo or any designer tonka tends to be quite heavy and overwhelming. It used to be one of my favourite notes, but I feel they just added enough in this one to make it interesting but not too overbearing. I also recall this one being pretty heavily dominated by a male audience, but it does actually smell a tiny bit feminine as well. Comparing it to my last review of Smoking Hot, I actually think I prefer that a lot more than this. That being said, I would not be disappointed by any means if I blind bought this fragrance and it smelled like this. Now, after having smelt the fragrance, I would not go out of my way to pay full price for it. Full price for 100ml being $380, and for 50ml it is $255 US. And the refill itself is $195 US. I'd probably just end up buying that and filling up sample vials rather than wasting money on a glass bottle. I feel this one is definitely an appropriate staple for any collection. I do have quite a few fragrances with a very similar DNA at the moment, so I have no reason to purchase this, nor do I see myself purchasing this. But I guess I do understand the hype behind it, and I do appreciate it for what it is, but it's just not really wowing me. For even somewhere around half the price, you can get your hands on this masterpiece OR18 by Another. While I've got my barely sprayed bottle of Black Phantom, I'm going to do a quick comparison to that, see what I prefer. Turn of events, I actually do prefer my Black Phantom. To be honest, if you're looking for like darkness, booziness, richness, a bit of a coffee accord, go Black Phantom, even though the performance isn't the best. If you want more of a simplistic vanilla-y boozy scent with a hint of, in fact, quite a bit of cinnamon, go for Angel's Share. It is a bit of a surprise that so many YouTubers who've had years of experience of smelling so many different perfumes are raving about this one so much. So about half an hour's passed now, it's dried down a fair bit, but the scent hasn't necessarily really evolved. The opening is somewhat intact. It seems to be like a very linear dry down. The woods are a little more prominent, the vanilla is coming out a tiny bit more, but not really a drastic change. I'd personally give it about a 6 out of 10. It's nice, definitely wearable, a safe enough blind buy, it's not going to offend anyone. I was expecting it to be a bit more of a warmer, cozier, drinkable scent to a degree, but it's good, I'll give it that. Anyway, I probably let my expectations climb I'm a little too high for this one. But the day finally came, and now I've finally smelled angel share. But anyway, that's all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.